something that I have been just so bewildered about.
Bewildered.
Bewildered. You know, I'm pretty good at figuring things out, but this
Yes.
one stumps me.
And that is what?
The 5 laws.
Yes, you exist. Everything is here and now. The one is the all are the one. What you put out is what you get back, and everything changes except the laws. What's so confusing about that? It seems pretty plain.
So the words themselves are plain. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Do you believe them to be facts? These laws, like factual?
These are the facts.
Okay, so
These are a description of the structure of existence
So how
as
do
it
you know
translates
that?
into your reality.
how do you know it's a
Because
fact?
we can see it. We can see that it's a structure. There's nothing you can do to change it. That's why it's a fact. You cannot stop existing. Try. Go ahead. I'll wait.
Well, that's one of them, right? That's one of them.
But everything else is an offshoot of that. The idea is that time and space are illusions, which means everything is actually here and now. Because there is only now. There is only here. Someone asks you what time it is, it's never then or when, it's always now. Therefore, it can't be anything but now. Everything exists now. And everything exists here. Because here is all there is.
I believe that's what we understand, but I
Yes.
also believe that there could be more than that we don't yet understand.
Of course there are more things than you understand, but that doesn't change the structure of existence. Understand, the structure never changes. What changes is your experience and perspective of the structure. That's how creation grows, by having new experiences, new perspective, new points of view of the structure that never changes.
Sure. I totally understand that. But how do you know this structure to be a structure? How do you
Well, we're using that term as a convenient way of explaining it in your reality, in your language, because that's what many people on your planet understand. It's not really a structure as you understand it in the classic sense of the word, but that is a way to represent that it is something inviolate, that it is something that holds a space, so to speak, without actually having or occupying any space at all. So yes, technically, there is no structure, but it's an easy way to explain it in your language, in a way that people can use. Does that make sense? No? No,
it does,
not
it
really.
does. I'm just looking for something more. It's like this
Such
structure you're
as?
talking about. I feel like I have to believe it to be true. And I feel like everything is a
Yes.
belief, and how can I have a belief without first having a thought?
You have a belief before you have a thought. Belief, in a definition, is what creates emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. You can't have a thought, you can't have a feeling, and you can't have any kind of a behavioral experience whatsoever if you don't already believe something to be true.
Okay, so how do I know I'm having a belief without having a thought about that belief?
Thoughts can reinforce the belief, but the belief and definition had to come first. I'll give you an example. Think about it this way. If I gave you a word that you didn't know the definition to and asked you how do you feel about it or what do you think about it, you would go, I don't know, because I don't know what it means. I have no definition.
Would I, or would I have a feeling about it? Would I make one up?
It would be relatively vague is what we're saying.
Okay.
Do you understand? In other words, the word brawn-tide, do you know what it means?
Brawn-tide, it makes me think of broth, chicken broth.
I understand it makes you think of that. But what do you feel about the word itself because you don't know what it means?
It feels heavy.
All right, but that's about it. Do you understand? It doesn't go much further because you don't really have an accurate definition of what that word means.
However, I feel like if I spent some more time thinking about it, I could take it further.
Yes, and that's fine. But again, you're skirting the issue. Because you're not actually addressing what the word is. And therefore, you're not having a feeling about the meaning of the word. You're having feelings around the idea of figuring out what the meaning is. So, which means you're giving it meaning.
Yeah, okay, I get that, sure.
You understand? And you're not feeling anything until you give it a meaning. So you're the one giving it a definition of some sort, even though it may not be the actual definition. you keep supplying it with definitions in order to have some feeling about it.
Yes, and so let me try and ask this in a different way. When I supply it with definitions and meanings, I have to have thoughts to do that.
No.
Well, what am I having then?
The idea is you can have thoughts about it, but it is there first. That's what we're saying. When you have the thoughts about it, you're having thoughts about something that is already there. Otherwise, you couldn't have a thought. It has to be there as something. It has to be there as some form of definition, some form of arrangement of something that you're relating to in order for you to have a thought about it.
So that thing can exist without me having a thought?
The definition is part of what forms your personality. The fact that the definition exists is what creates the thought. You may or may not have thoughts about it, but you can't have the thoughts at all if you don't have the definition first.
Okay.
You are taught definitions when you're growing up. You absorb them through body language, through telepathy from your parents, your society, all around you. The thing of it is it happens so unconsciously that you don't even realize until later that you've been fed a library of definitions that you're then having feelings, thoughts, and behaviors about as a response to those definitions. But if you weren't fed those definitions, this means this, you wouldn't be having any thoughts about it at all.
So a question to go further into that. Kids that are born and they're like 3 years old and they can play Mozart on the piano, but nobody's taught them to do that?
Yes.
How does that happen?
Well, it's not true that nobody has taught them.
Oh, so from another realm.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so when I'm born, I
Yes.
can be born with definitions?
You can choose to have, and people usually do choose to have some basic definitions if that serves the path they are choosing to experience themselves as in that particular life experience. Yes, of course. You freeze certain ideas within that matrix of your crystallization into physical reality so you can have some momentum already, some pattern established that will then lead you, at least to some degree, in the direction of the theme you chose to explore. So yes, of course, you crystallize those definitions when you're born to some degree. But you remain open for a while to receive other definitions that then form things like family relationships and what the world is like that you've been born into, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so as far as the 5 laws go,
Yes.
when you discovered them, just like when you discover anything,
Yes.
are you always open to there being something greater than that? That what you understand in that moment? Like these 5 laws right now, you're like...
Of course.
Okay, good.
There may or may not be a 6th
agreed.
law. We don't know. What we're saying is all we have ever discovered is 5, and so far in thousands upon thousands of years, there has never seemed to be a reason for a 6th to appear.
I'm so excited for the future, or you know what I mean when I say future.
I do.
So, is there another term I can use? Man, language is really annoying sometimes because when I'm trying to express...
May I remind you that the word annoying is part of your language.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. My annoyance annoys me. Totally.
All right.
I'm with you on that one. Is there another word I can use?
Well, the idea is to understand that annoyance can only come from a negative definition.
No, not annoyance. Future. That was the word.
Future. Well, it's another present. It's a parallel present. If you want to say it's a probability, you can.
Okay.
But it's a parallel present that already exists. And therefore, you can take on some of the vibration of that if you wish to manifest it in a space-time framework. And that's what you call manifesting from the future. But it still exists already in some form. It's just that you're becoming aware of it and taking on or matching a frequency that allows you to have an experience of it.
Yeah, when I talk about things, I'm like, okay, I understand I'm having a linear experience right now, and I'm choosing to believe that I chose to have a linear experience.
Yes,
so
of course.
Past, present, future. while I'm expanding my consciousness and
Yes.
opening my mind to new concepts, ones I haven't yet understood.
Yes.
How can I word this? See, the words, they can be tricky sometimes. What would be... I guess I'm just gonna have to figure this out on my own. I mean, I know, yeah, follow my joys and my excitements. I'm having a challenging time figuring out how to ask you how to word things in a way that will facilitate my evolution with language
All right.
and consciousness.
Well, the idea really, in the most fundamental way, is that if you start understanding the 5 laws, especially the idea that everything exists now, you will develop a different form of language to express that understanding, but you have to have the understanding first. The language will come with it.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, I'll totally try that on.